million things happened yesterday related to Venezuela. But guys, let's talk forward looking. Kevin, what's going well right now? Leaving aside whether you agree with the president on anything, including this, from their point of view, if you were White House communications director, what's going well operationally, message-wise, et cetera, right now for them?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, Mark. I think what the administration continues to highlight is the incredible success of the operation, right? Putting the chairman of the Joint Chiefs front and center on that. Obviously, there was a briefing for leading senators yesterday with Pam Bondi, Secretary Hegseth, Rubio. So again, focusing on the operational nature of the incredibly successful incursion into Caracas is certainly part of it. I think too, what we're seeing with some of the more recent polling, and it's more snap polling since Saturday's operation, is that a majority of Republicans are sticking with the president when it comes to this operation and taking out Maduro, right? It's got about 33% approval overall in terms of the operation based on this latest Reuters poll. But you're seeing more of the kind of the anti, foreign entanglement folks on the right kind of holding their fire that we've seen in the last couple of days and mostly uniformly lining up behind the president on this element. So I think that one of the only positives really for this administration right now is the fact that MAGA world is generally united behind this operation.
Eric, both on politics and on the substance in Venezuela, what's going well?
Yeah, I'm always dismissive of these snap polls, particularly ones over the weekend. But the president, I think he does need to make the little case a little more. I don't know that most people realize Iran and Hezbollah have fronts within Venezuela right now, including an Iranian drone factory that we took out on the way out of Venezuela the other day. The fact that we were able to do it, though, there's always a rally around the flag opportunity that the president can seize on here because I mean, this was a really impressive operation. It's something that neither Russia nor China can do. It's something that we did against Chinese and Russian air defense systems in Venezuela that they couldn't match the F-35s. They couldn't match any of even the helicopters. So the president's got that. He's got a united Republican front right now to be able to make the case. And the Democrat message is really split on this. You've got the Gottheimers of the world praising getting rid of Maduro. You've got a lot of people who were demanding Trump 5-6 years ago, get rid of Maduro, now saying, why did you do this? This is illegal. Look, you got Floridian foreign policy at play right now, which is good for the GOP because we're catering to the voters in South Florida. You've got the Cuban situation now destabilizing. The question, though, is what comes next? And I think a lot of people expecting reform in Venezuela may be disappointed by what comes next.
So, well, let's talk about that because I don't think the president's ever going to put serious military on the ground. I think he wants to threaten. He can use the Navy to blockade. He can threaten them with arrest. They can start indicting more people and then go in and seize them. So sometimes when this stuff happens, you got to move quickly, right? The Pentagon's like, we got to go to Baghdad right now. We got to get in there. We can't waste the momentum. It seems to me one thing, I'll just put this out for your consideration. One thing that's going well is this is all place and time of the choosing of Stephen Miller and Marco Rubio and the president. They don't have to rush. The ships are there. That seems to me, I'd put this up for consideration. That seems to me to be one thing that's going well. If the goal of to run the country through mafia-like threats by the U.S. Navy, do what we say, or we're going to ruin your economy. It seems like the time is on the side of the United States, except for the fact that it's costing the taxpayers money. Am I right that is a positive thing for the plan that they seem to have? Eric.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's literally nothing Venezuela can do. And for that matter, there's not a lot Cuba can do, which is the second domino here for Western Hemisphere control is dealing with them. And their oil is now gone. We had 3 ships yesterday try to run the embargo. All 3 were caught, showing the dynamism of the American Navy being able to handle 3 major oil tankers at one time going in different directions. The coordination of the American military and intelligence is hands down better than anything any other nation has. So, yeah, I mean, they got time on their hands. Where is the Venezuelan government going to go? Nowhere.
Yeah. And Kevin, there's some reports that they're using the secret police and the military to stifle dissent. But again, you could imagine a parallel universe where there'd be rioting in the streets and chaos and fighting between different factions. The fact that there isn't, again, just seems to me to be a positive and not by accident, because they left in power people who can suppress dissent. So do you agree that this is a positive?
Yeah, Mark. Well, and certainly there's been reporting that, there's obviously assessments coming out of this. Do they take out the entire regime? Obviously, they opted to keep, the vice president in place, this Delcy Rodriguez, who was sworn in on Monday, who'd been in office for the last 8 years. Her brother is the head of the National Assembly. And to your point earlier, Mark, it seems like bullying and threatening is somewhat working. She, when we took Maduro, her statement was, "There's one president, it's Maduro still." And then just the next day, after Donald Trump said, "Well, we'll go after you too," you saw her change her tune a little bit with regards to the geopolitical nature of this element. I wonder, Eric. You bring up such an important point, and I wonder why the administration isn't talking more about the axis of evil when it comes to Iran, China, Russia. I'd be emphasizing that a lot more, and you really, obviously they're talking about the oil element of this, but I'd be talking about these three countries are making inroads in our neighborhood, and this is why we took action. I wonder why they're not doing that as much.
That's the thing that flummoxes me about this administration and its messaging. And I get it's Trump and fly by the seat of his pants, but for people who don't know, not only has China been going into South America and taking over mines, giving loans they knew couldn't be paid back so they can take over mineral wealth in South America, but Iran and Hezbollah both do have land. There's an island in Venezuela. When I was back in my day in college, guys fantasized about going to this island because it was essentially golf hookers and cocaine, called Margarita Island, and you had all.
This is still Eric. This is still a family show in the morning. You got to be careful.
I know. And the Maxim magazine and the like would do these stories on this island in Venezuela, where I actually know some people who went for golf, and now it's an actual Hezbollah training facility. And we dropped bombs on it on the way out the other night. Iran makes drones for Russia in Venezuela. There's a money laundering operation.
It sounds like the ultimate story for Vice back in its heyday.
Yes, yes, exactly. And this is it's a major operation, and we're not really talking about it.
There's something
about the oil, which is, by the way, I'm fine with as an oil brat who grew up in Dubai. But also, you do have this ancillary issue here that's a major issue.
There's something weird going on with China and Russia, and their lack of enthusiasm about talking about it. They're happy to talk about Hezbollah. And obviously, a big part of this is the whole macro Trump foreign policy, spheres of influence, sending a message to China and Russia. This hemisphere is ours. We can talk about Taiwan and Ukraine later, but they don't want to talk about China and Russia. Even though you're right, that's an axis of evil that people in this country respond to. I don't know why that is. The other thing, Eric, you mentioned the oil. The press is so against American having access to oil and fossil fuel in general. It's one of the few areas of coverage that I think has been anti-Trump. I'd say overall the coverage has actually been pretty positive, given that it's Trump. But they don't like the notion of gunboat diplomacy for oil. Now, again, I'm not telling you here I'm for using fossil fuel till 2070, and I'm not here telling you that I endorse a gunboat diplomacy to steal the oil from another country. But leaving that aside, just the president's openness, he did a phone there with Joe Scarborough yesterday, and he said, we're keeping the oil. And he said, I was such a critic of Bush not keeping the oil in Iraq, and he was at the time. He thought we should have kept it.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and Two-Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.